You're standing in a grocery store, staring at a wall of jam. There are 47 different kinds. You came here specifically to buy jam, but now you're about to walk out with nothing. This isn't just you being indecisive. This is your brain shutting down because it was given far too many options. It's called choice paralysis, and it's the real reason you can't pick a Netflix show, choose a career, or even commit to a relationship. There's a famous study from Columbia University that perfectly explains this. They set up a tasting booth for jam in a grocery store. On one day, they offered 24 different flavors. On another day, they only offered 6. Now, when there were 24 flavors, about 60% of the people who walked by stopped to take a look. Sounds good, right? More choice, more interest. But here's the catch. Only 3% of those people actually bought a jar of jam. Then, they ran the experiment with just 6 flavors. This time, only 40% of people stopped. But of those who stopped, a massive 30% made a purchase. That's 10 times more sales. The lesson is brutally simple. More choice leads to less action. Your brain doesn't get better at making decisions when you give it more options. It just freezes. This is the essence of choice paralysis. When you're faced with too many choices, your brain's decision-making ability doesn't just slow down, it completely shuts off. You end up choosing nothing at all, because the fear of choosing the wrong thing feels worse than not choosing anything. Let's dive into what's happening inside your head. Every single option you have requires evaluation. For each one, your brain has to imagine the outcome, weigh the pros and cons, and try to predict any future regret. If you have 3 options, that's a manageable task. But when you have 30 options, your brain's processing capacity is completely overwhelmed. It's like trying to run a complex video game on a 10-year-old computer. It just crashes. But it gets even darker. Even on the rare occasion that you do manage to make a choice from a sea of options, you're almost guaranteed to be less satisfied with it. Why? Because you're haunted by all the other options you didn't pick. You can't stop wondering, what if I chose wrong? What if one of the others was better? The research is shocking. People who choose from a large set of options experience 50% more regret about their final choice. They feel 60% less satisfaction with what they picked. And they spend 70% more time just making the decision in the first place. This constant second-guessing and what-if thinking is linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety. Modern life is engineered for choice paralysis. Think about it. Dating apps present you with thousands of potential partners, so you end up committing to none of them. Streaming services offer an endless library of content, so you spend an hour scrolling and then go to bed having watched nothing. The number of potential career paths seems infinite, so you feel stuck and unable to move forward. The very freedom to choose everything has paralyzed you into choosing nothing. And here's the manipulation behind it all. Companies deliberately give you an overwhelming number of choices in categories that don't really matter. This is done to make you feel like you're in control. Choose from 50 different phone cases. They say it gives you the illusion of power. Meanwhile, the choices that actually matter, the phone's price, its technical features. The terms of your contract, those, are severely limited and carefully controlled by the company. They distract you with trivial choices to hide the lack of meaningful ones. Restaurants are masters of this game. They create massive menus to make you feel like you have a world of options. But what they're secretly hoping for is that you'll get overwhelmed and just order whatever the waiter recommends. And what does the waiter always recommend? The high-margin item they're trying to push. You think you made a choice, but you were guided to it. Here's where it gets psychologically cruel. Choice paralysis is at its absolute worst when all the options are similar in quality. If one option is obviously better than the others, the decision is easy. But when they're all pretty much the same, your brain has a complete meltdown. This is exactly why you can't pick a show on Netflix. Most of them are of a roughly similar quality. Your brain can't find a clear winner, so it just refuses to choose at all. You spend 40 minutes scrolling, and by the time you're done, you're too tired to watch anything. And for Netflix, that's a win. You stayed engaged with their platform for 40 minutes, even though you didn't consume any of their expensive content. They kept your attention without having to deliver. Dating apps exploit this brutally. Everyone on the app presents themselves as roughly equally attractive and interesting, at least from a two-dimensional profile. Your brain can't identify an obvious best choice, so you just keep swiping, never committing, always wondering if someone slightly better is just one more swipe away. The app is designed to keep you engaged, but never satisfied. Career paralysis works the same way. All the potential paths seem equally viable and equally risky. Your brain can't pick a clear winner, so you end up picking nothing. You stay in a job you hate, because at least it's a decision you already made. The thought of making a brand new decision from an infinite pool of options feels completely impossible. The research shows something genuinely disturbing. People who have more options are objectively less happy, not because their lives are objectively worse, but because they can never stop wondering what they're missing out on. Every single choice they make is haunted by the ghosts of all the unchosen alternatives. Marketers have known this for decades. They'll offer you unlimited options in categories where it doesn't matter, and then they'll artificially limit your options in the categories that do. You get to choose from unlimited colors for your new credit card, but there are only 3 interest rate tiers to choose from. Man, they're all terrible. You leave the transaction feeling like you had a choice, but in reality, you are being controlled the entire time. But here's the truly dark part. You can weaponize choice paralysis against yourself. Every time you tell yourself, I just need to research more options before making a decision, you are actively making it less likely that you will ever decide. You think you're being thorough and responsible. In reality, you're just sabotaging your own ability to act. So what's the defense against this? It's brutal, but it's effective. You have to force artificial constraints on yourself. Don't allow yourself to consider all the options. Deliberately give yourself only 3. Not because you're certain those are the best 3, but because your brain can actually process 3 options. Perfect information with infinite choice is worse than imperfect information with limited choice. The research proves this, beyond a doubt. People who limit their options to a small set of 3 to 5 choices make decisions faster, feel more confident in those decisions, experience significantly less regret, and are objectively happier with the outcomes than people who try to evaluate 20 or more options. But we don't do it. We're addicted to the illusion that more choice equals more freedom and more control. It doesn't. More choice equals more paralysis. Your options aren't freeing you. They're imprisoning you in a cage of indecision. If you're ready to hear more uncomfortable truths about how your brain really works, make sure to subscribe. And let me know in the comments, what S1 decision you're avoiding right now simply because you have too many options. Thanks for watching.